I had two choices: go bankrupt and completely lose everything, or end it all. Behind the scenes, there's a lot of good conversations happening, but in public, we're all peacocking for men who are in the thick of it, who are drowning, that need support right now. This is so common. This is much more common than I thought. My wife said this the other day. She's like, what is happening to you? At the end of the day, none of it matters if God isn't included in it.
Well, John Moore, thanks for coming to my studio today. Thanks for meeting with me. I first heard of you from the event that we did. We had this Men Who Love God public event, and all these almost like 30 guys showed up. It was awesome. And one of the guys kept talking about this Heare Brotherhood. Like, I don't know what this is, but he said how great it was. This brotherhood, there's some app, and people were checking in and like keeping each other accountable. And this sounds awesome. And so I looked into what it was. I followed you, or you followed me. I can't remember. We followed each other on Instagram. I said, will you come on the podcast? And you graciously said yes. So I would love for you, let's start there. Let's start with the Heare Brotherhood, and then we'll get into your personal story. What is the Heare Brotherhood, and how do you spell it?
Yeah, the Heare Brotherhood, that's a good place to start. The spelling is Heare. And the reason we came up with it that way is I was once talking to a friend about it, and we were talking about what we wanted out of the Heare Brotherhood, which is a place for men to be able to listen to each other, to be heard, but also to hear. And so we thought, okay, if I'm here,
like physically,
like I'm here for you, but I'm also hearing you. So we're like, ooh, what's the better spelling? What's the better meaning? And we're like, they both are perfect. They're both exactly what we're trying to do is. And so we thought, okay, what if I'm here to hear? And so we combined the spellings. We decided we wanted to create something for those that felt like they weren't being heard, which is most men. I would argue. I would argue the same. That it is most men, and I think there's a million things we could talk about as to why that is. Well,
let's specify. Men can. This is the thing in this world. Men can say, they can talk, but it's like the real talk, the things that we.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, we can say what we want, but it's the stuff that's like potentially embarrassing. Yes. Things that you wouldn't want to say to maybe someone close to you, right. Fear for embarrassment or reprisal or something. And so you're saying it's a place where men can just speak their hearts, right? Speak everything without
judgment. No judgment. Yeah. There's no, and part of it came from my journey, and I'm sure we'll get into that, but just this feeling like I didn't have that space. And that doesn't say that I didn't have people that supported me. I have lots of support. I have an abundance of support from family, from friends. But I think part of the shame that I put on myself was the reason why I didn't feel like I could open up to anybody, because I felt like I had to be strong. Mm-hmm. Felt like if I was going to let people down if I started sharing things. But what I did is I started sharing that story of just some of my mental health struggles and just feeling worthless and feeling all kinds of things. And from that moment, you post something online and it's so scary the first time you say anything vulnerable, and all of a sudden you're just met with this flood of support, and you're like, hey, this is so common. This is much more common than I thought. And that's where it started, was I want to raise awareness. I want to start talking about this and changing stigmas surrounding men's mental health and wellness, and just make it this normal thing. Like, behind the scenes, there's a lot of good conversations happening, but in public, it's like we're all peacocking. We're all
posturing.
We're all saying that everything's great all the time, and we need to stop. And I'm all about positivity and optimism, but I do think that it can be harmful for us to not talk about these things publicly. And so I always love when guys come and they say, hey, I just want you guys to know, my wife said this the other day. She's like, what is happening to you? Or just posts like that, where they come and they notice the difference that is happening in their life just from having a place and a brotherhood to come and share things that they can't share with other people. Mm-hmm. Which, we very much underestimate that as a society in having those kinds of spaces. And so it's cool to see men coming and sharing those things, as well as, I have some messages, some screenshots of certain posts or people that have said certain things, including the fact that many of them have said that they were going to take their own lives. And they, one of them specifically said, I had two choices. He said, I had two choices, one to go bankrupt and to completely lose everything. The other choice was to just end it all. And he said he was at the brink of that. And he said, but then I remembered I didn't want to let down my Heare Brotherhood because I knew that they would be able to support me. And for me, that was a moment of, I just lost it when he sent me that message. Just because how cool that he felt like there was no hope, and then the second he realized that there actually was, that he had made a commitment to his brotherhood and that he was going to stay for us, not for us, but because he didn't want to let us down, and he knew that was not what was the right answer. And I appreciate those kinds of stories so much, because it just proves the concept of what we're trying to do, to help people, men, to not feel alone, to know that there's a place that they can go.
Like in my own life, this podcast came after a pretty hard part. The inspiration for this podcast came after a difficult time in my life, probably the hardest time in my life, which is usually when God strips you of pride and humbles you and like says, all right, you're going to listen now. Or you're ready to listen.
Whether you have a choice or not. No.
Yeah, not in anger, very lovingly.
Yes.
So for you to get to that point where you wanted to create this, your heart was probably hurting, or, what brought you to that point?
Yeah, there were... I have a hard time answering this question because looking back, there's 500 different routes that led to this perfect alignment of all of these things happening. But what was the catalyst was, for me, this moment of my darkest, deepest moment, where I just felt completely worthless. And it was about 6 months after being laid off from a job that I felt like I was excelling, like killing it, And so I didn't realize how much until later, how much that had affected me. But it was also after a long winter. We had a kid, and our fourth kid, and I was really tired. There were just so many things at play that led to this perfect storm of a moment. I was in a job that I had taken that wasn't the right choice. And I don't say that in a shameful way. I say it in a way, looking back, like, I think I was desperate. And but I ended up I took the job, was there for about 4 months, and it was all in this perfect storm of, like, I'm not in the right place, I'm tired. There was a lot going on, and that's when I started to really feel this darkness just settling in, and this was around March of 2022. And at that time, I think there were people that started to notice, my wife included, who... I say that they conspired behind my back, my wife and a few other people, but I say it in a grateful way. But they really tried to get me to go to the gym, to start taking care of myself, because I wasn't taking care of myself spiritually, physically, mentally. Just in no way was I taking care of myself. And so they finally convinced me to go to the gym. I went to a CrossFit gym once I got past some of those stigmas surrounding CrossFit.
The WODs.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I now, I just love and appreciate, and I'm so grateful for CrossFit for getting me back into that. But so there was that. I finally booked my first therapy appointment. I swallowed my pride there. I had some friends who bugged me for months to come do a cold plunge, and I'm like, absolutely not. Like, this is for psychopaths. And which is, I still believe.
I do it twice a week, and it is for psychopaths.
Yes, it is.
I do it in the morning when it's cold and dark. Yeah.
Yes. But I ended up going to the Provo River on April 1st and did that as well. So it was just all of a sudden, that moment that you're talking about, where God allows you to get to this point because he knows what's going to happen. Like he knows better than us what's going to happen. And so he's like, I really think he looks to us and says, I know that they're going to, I'm so sorry it has to be this way, but it just does. It's just the natural law of things. And I had to get there. And it had to happen in order for me to rise up. So I took advantage of all these things.
And like how did you, were you just feeling so crappy that you're like, I don't care, I'll just do this stuff? Or like, did you fight going to the gym and cold plunges? Like,
oh, I fought it because
some people are in such ruts. I've been there where it's like, no, I'm not doing any of that stuff. Why were you humble enough to be okay? Were you that low? You're like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, I was that low where I had this realization, and this was all part of me just realizing I wasn't taking care of myself, which was why I was having all of these problems. Yeah. And I wasn't, I just needed to face certain things, including the fact that I had been laid off and the fact that all these things that I had pushed away. Yeah. And I started seeing that how important it was for me to open up and to start facing these things. And that was through this coaching, through therapy, through a few different things where I just realized I needed to face it.
I love this. I'm sorry to keep stopping you, but I'm
please.
very curious about these points.
Yes.
When did you open up to someone? Was it your therapist when you started
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So are you a fan of therapy?
I am a fan of therapy. However,
yeah, okay.
I will say, and this is straight out of the mouth of one of my close friends who is a therapist, and she said, John, not everybody can benefit from therapy, but not everybody needs therapy in the traditional sense. Okay. Everybody needs some type of therapy in order to deal with trauma, but that can look like different things. That can look like kickboxing. That can look like horseback riding. These are all legit therapies that are used. So not everybody needs the same type of therapy. But I think everybody could benefit from it, from having a listening ear. Mm-hmm. But I do think, there's research that has come out recently about, there's never been more opportunities for therapy. There's never been more men who are attending therapy, yet the suicide statistics are through the roof for men. Still. Almost 4 times more likely. Men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women. Yeah. Which is just mind-boggling. To think that it's so bad.
But you also get it, right?
Yeah,
I get it.
Totally. There's people that speculate on why that is, and we'll never know. But in my opinion, from what I've seen as I've been in this men's work, it's that we don't. It's the lack of outlets, the lack of accessibility to these certain tools. You're like, great, I would love to go to therapy. I just can't afford $150 per session,
mm-hmm.
Right? Or I would love to go to this weekend retreat, but I can't afford $5,000 to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's actually part of my story. That's one of the many routes that have brought me to this place, which are, I kept looking for these types of things, and I wasn't in a place to afford them. And so it was like I would get all hyped up when I'd see something, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Darn it, I guess I can't do this. Yeah. And doing that time after time, you just think, where are my options
mm-hmm.
for the peasants like me? Where are my options? And that's part of what we're trying to solve at Heare, is provide these types of resources and these types of brotherhoods at a way more affordable and approachable and accessible
mm-hmm.
rate.
I love this.
And I mean, there's no other way to say it other than our society just has not offered these resources to those that need it the most, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that looks like yet, but I do think there are solutions, and we're trying to find some of those.
Yeah, I think about this often because many of us listening, and myself, I go to church, right? And you would think in church that would be a place for healing, and it is to many degrees. It truly is. But like, there's we go to a men's class, or a men's gathering. Women go to their gathering. So there's this like really good opportunity to talk, right? But we never get there. I mean, sometimes people can get vulnerable a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you were in charge, what would you do? I mean, what could we do as, I'm going to say the church, as all churches, like what could we do as a church? What would your advice be to help men like utilize this gathering? I mean, we're going weekly. That's like people go to therapy once a week or once a month. We're already going somewhere once a week. What can we do? Because it's got to start with the people. The leaders can't just say, all right, be vulnerable. Like, open up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what do we do?
Yeah. So this has been racking my brain because I am one of the, I'm one of the teachers of our men's group at my church. And so a couple of times a month, I have an opportunity to be in a circle with them. Mm-hmm. And so I try to provide those spaces, but there's so many that don't respond.
Yeah.
Right. And there's always those select those handful of men that are always talking. They're always having great insights. But what about the guys who are on their phones, the guys that are they're kind of going through the motions? And so this question has racked my brain. And what it's come down to is, for me, is focusing on the one-on-one interactions.
Oh, okay.
Because, I mean, that's one of the many answers, I think. But we have to look at things, I think, the way that Jesus did, which is a very one-on-one approach.
Give me an example of like an interaction you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure yet. I know that just taking care of those that we're in charge of ministering to those that are in need, that we're looking at, that we're seeing every day. Looking for those opportunities to minister to them, to our neighbors, to those that we go to church with. But on the flip side, I believe in the power of groups of men coming together to do hard things. And that's where I think I see a lot of churches, I see a lot of groups going towards that approach of doing hard things together, whether it's going on hikes, going on cold plunges, going on whatever it may be, but creating these spaces. And I read it once somewhere that typically women are face-to-face, and they bond that way, face-to-face, eye-to-eye, whereas men are side-to-side, meaning shoulder-to-shoulder, in motion, whether it's fishing. That's, these intimate relations and these intimate conversations can happen when you're driving together, fishing together, hiking together, biking together. That's how men as adults bond for the most part. And I'm not saying that there's not a place for sitting around the campfire and or sitting in a circle and doing those things, but I think most men in general, in order to get them to that place, there has to be motion, because for some reason we're just wired that way. I don't know why.
I think I know you're right. I go biking with a buddy once a week, and another friend I go running with a week. I work out with a friend in the mornings, and we're not looking into each other's eyes, like
right,
sitting down, and we do bond because we're just like running together. Yeah. It's so that is yeah. What you're saying is absolutely true. I see it every day, every week in my life, and that is so important to go out and move your body with a brother, and you just start talking, and that's what you just need, an activity. That's what you need.
One of the things that I have noticed, that I think is lacking in a lot of these men's groups, in a lot of these men's movements that I see, is there's not a very, and I don't mean to speak against anybody else. I think they're doing great work. I honor them and value what they're doing, but I think in order for us to have a full picture of the godly masculine, we need to bring more of the arts in. We need to bring in. We need to try and go through as many avenues as we can to reach as many men as possible. And so whether that's through this kickboxing or whether it's through these retreats for breath work or doing yoga. One of my partners, he does yoga and breath work, and
so good.
Like, we need to have more well-rounded approaches to helping men to come and to be with us. And I don't see that as much in a lot of these men's movements where it's very focused on the physical appearance fitness, and
I love
which is important.
Yeah.
But it is, I'd say it's a quarter of the equation when we're looking at the importance of spirituality, physical fitness. We're looking at mental and intellectual and social. And if we're neglecting those, they all suffer.
Yeah, dude, I totally agree. That is I guess a criticism I've seen as well with so many men groups online. It's dominated by physicality.
Yeah.
Workout. And that will teach you discipline, which is essential. It's literally changed my life. But I love that you're integrating the spiritual, intellectual, social, emotional. I think you're on the right track.
Well, thank you. That's where I think if we can continue to do these types of events that feel well-rounded, I think we'll be able to reach more men. And that's really what we want. Is, our official mission statement is to forge a global brotherhood of support and growth. And with that comes a lot of meaning, and every word is intentional. But there's the growth aspect, there's the support aspect, which is for men who are in the thick of it, who are drowning, that need support right now. And then there's the growth aspect. And so it's not just like this is a place for only those that struggle with mental health. We want to offer both, because both are necessary in order to be on the right path, in order to continue to grow and to become all that I believe God intends for us to be. We need to have moments of supporting and being supported, as well as growing ourselves and helping others to grow. And so it's kind of this give and take of both of those things.
I totally agree. When we did our event, I would say probably half the guys there really needed help. They were drowning and their problems were awful. And what was so cool is all the problems were very unique, or not. They weren't unique is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We all struggle with those things at one time or another. The other half of the guys were the ones lifting down to reach up. It was so cool to have both of those.
Yeah.
And so I love that, because some people they're already doing well. They need to grow, and them reaching down blesses them and the people they're helping, and then the people who are drowning need that space. Well, I'm really excited to dive into the app and see this. What is if a new guy was coming to the app, what is your hope for this guy? Because sometimes, we join an app and it's like, it's very impersonal at first. Right. Like, what is the founder, John Moore, hope for that guy? What is he going to find?
I hope that they come and they find a place of refuge, a place where they have lifelong brothers, if they are giving as well. I hope that they know that they can come and find that place, that there's a place at the table, that they have a group that they know will support and love them and hear them, that they will be heard, that they will be seen, that they will be loved. That's what we want these men to feel. That's what we want all men to feel, is come as you are. We don't care what you've been through. Come exactly as you are. Tell us all about it. Don't expect to stay that way forever, but come as you are, and we will love you exactly how you are. We have an anonymous question section. And people will submit anonymous questions, and the answers are not anonymous, which I like.
That is cool.
And somebody recently came onto the app and they said, hey, I don't feel like, I don't know if I'm going to be welcomed here because I'm gay. And, they went on about how they feel like they wouldn't be accepted here. And that has been our most popular post by far on the whole app, because there were dozens and dozens of men who, the whole range of masculinity. You've got like these super, jacked guys who you wouldn't expect. You've got like every type of man in their 60s, their 30s, 20s, 40s, and they're all coming in saying, brother, you're here. We love you. We don't care what you've done in the past. We don't care about those kinds of things. Are you a man, and do you want to improve in your life, and do you want to be supported and support? Then you're welcome here. You're loved here. And just the responses that were on that question were just so heartwarming to me, and just a good sign that this community is on the right track. Mm-hmm. That we're getting the right types of people that aren't going to bully or make anybody feel dumb for certain things. But it's are you a man, and do you want to become a better man? Then you're in the right place, and you're going to get that support here.
I love that. That gets me amped, dude. I'm excited for that. One of my favorite doctrines is the body of Christ, and there's all different parts.
Yes,
everyone is a different part, and everyone is everyone is needed, and that's such a beautiful doctrine, such a beautiful idea. So it's so cool to see that it's reflected in your group as well.
It really is.
Is there anything else that you want to tell us about the Heare Brotherhood for someone who might be hesitant to just get over these hurdles, to get them to just come and bask in all these guys that are open and ready to help each other?
Yeah. I'd say if for anybody that's questioning it, if you want to have that type of a community where you feel loved, seen, heard, come and participate. And it's not just come and bask in or just be a lurker. We have lots of lurkers, which is fine when they're ready to open up. That's in their timing. But come and participate. Come and support until you're ready to open up. We don't want to pressure anybody. We just want to provide the space. And so for anybody doubting, just come and join us. You can come and lurk if you want to. Come and check it out, and see if it's a place that you're wanting to open up, because that's been the case a lot of times.
Very cool.
They're not sure, and then they see what's going on, and they say, "Okay, this is a safe space."
Very cool, dude. I can't wait to check it out. I'm going to give you the final word. Dude, what's your final advice to our brothers out there listening who are struggling that might want to? What would you share with them?
That despite all of the resources out there, despite all of the amazing communities that are out there, at the end of the day, none of it matters if God isn't included in it. I think the most important resource that I have used is God, and it is the only way that I've been able to have any success in my life, in my relationships. It's because of those times when I slow down and when I have an opportunity to commune with God and to talk with him and to have him talk back. And, therapy can be wonderful. Coaching, cold plunges, meditation, all those things are wonderful within the context of the true source of healing, which I believe is Jesus Christ. And so all of the tools that are available, let's use them to bring us to the real source of healing, which is Jesus Christ. I guess that would be my final word there.
Well, my second, third, and fourth that, dude. John, thank you so much. I'm so excited to get involved with the Heare Brotherhood. I'm lucky that we're so close, so it's easy for me to do.
Yes.
Thanks for coming and sharing that. I think this will help a lot of guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.